Hi you guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a little girls night, wine night, chatty catch up, post elopement, post wedding. I'm gonna answer all the questions. You know, it's a really, really hot day outside. It's like, well, it's the evening now, but it's still like in the 90s. So I was like, you know what? Let's have a glass of wine. Let's catch up. It's kind of crazy because last time I filmed like a chatty girls night, wine night Q&A, it was like maybe 6 p.m. when I filmed it, but it was dark out obviously because of daylight savings. So I always find it so wild that it's like light out till 9 p.m. now. But anyways, you guys came through the questions. This is a mix of my YouTube community tab and then also my Instagram Q&A. I tend to do Q&As over on Instagram probably like once or twice a month. So if you guys are not following me over there, highly recommend. It's a fun time, I think. First one is advice for getting discouraged during the slow process of home renovations. This is something that I feel like my feelings kind of always fluctuate on, and I think that's normal if you have a fixer-upper or an old home. Like, you're gonna go through seasons of being like, okay, it's fine, it is what it is, and then through seasons of being like, is this gonna be over? I want it to be done. But some of the things that have helped me are just realizing that you are really your biggest critic at the end of the day, because you are in the home 24/7. You are going to be the biggest critic to the home. I was raised in a fixer-upper, and I was really raised that it was like the people in your home, it's not the house that makes it a home. I think the way I was raised really helps me kind of being in a state of like constant renovations in my family home or my house growing up. Like, I'm kind of okay with it now, but you really are your biggest critic. Like, other people don't come to your, or well, I can only speak for myself. I'm sure there are people out there who would make comments about other people's homes. In fact, I know that there are, because there are people in our life that do. I would never go to someone's home that has a fixer-upper and like fixate on the things that are wrong with the house. Like, all I'm there for is to be in the company of the people. We notice a lot of things that others wouldn't notice unless we pointed them out. I also feel like one thing that's important to note is that it's realistic for it to take time to fix up a home. Those people that do it quick either like sold their home and got a lot of money, or maybe they took out like a HELOC or equity or went into debt to fix up their home. So for me personally, I would rather it take longer, but know that we did it and didn't go into debt or didn't have to take out any kind of loans to do it. But I'm just saying, I think it's important to remember that on social media, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know that they didn't take out a $200,000 loan to fix up their house quickly, right? I also think that renovation fatigue is so real. So I think it's really important to do things in steps and phases and to take breaks along the way. You guys know something we started doing was kind of celebrating every time we finished a project, no matter how small it was. We'll pop a bottle of champagne, we'll have like a little date night at home, and kind of take a little bit of a break for a week or so before starting the next project. I think something that can either be a blessing or a curse is that Matt and I really love fixing up a home. When we kind of finished up with the main floor in the condo, we were like, okay, like, what's the next challenge? I need the next challenge now. And so for us, we genuinely enjoy the process, which is a blessing, I think, but also a curse, because I find sometimes we don't take breaks in between projects. Like, we just want to do the next project because we're so excited about it. I think it also depends on the kind of people too. Obviously, people like Matt, you guys know, doesn't know how to take a break and is constantly wanting to do things to the home. So I think things in our house get done a little bit quicker because Matt just loves to constantly be doing things. But yeah, I think it's really important to take breaks, celebrate when you're done the projects, and do things in phases so that you can keep enjoying life. I saw this quote that I wanted to read because it really resonated with me, and it says, people aren't longing to be impressed, they're longing to feel like they're home. Create a space full of love and character and creativity and soul, and they'll take off their shoes and curl up with gratitude and rest, no matter how small, no matter how odd, and no matter how undone your house is. Okay, upcoming home projects. I feel like everyone always asks this. I love how much you guys love the home projects, because it's not something I really... Like, in the condo, I shared the renovations that we did, but this house is like more of an ongoing process. And so I love how much you guys like love the projects. We are very much like on a whim kind of people, like with small projects at least. We will kind of just decide like, oh, I want to do this, or oh, I want to do that. Obviously with nothing major, but I think I mentioned this maybe in my last month's budget, but we have committed to doing one big project every year. So we just did that. That was our gutters. And so now we're trying to plan for next year's big project. We're not too sure what it's going to be yet. We're hosting friends for the first time, which is so exciting. In August, Brianna and Corey are coming to stay with us. So priorities right now are to just kind of start making this house feel a bit more homey. It definitely does, but putting art up on the walls, getting things organized, that kind of stuff. We were going to start the kitchen this summer, and I'm just not putting a timeline on it, honestly. Whenever we want to start it, we'll start it. We originally said like we wanted it done by the fall, but then we were like, honestly, the winters are just so long and hard here that it almost makes more sense to wait and do it over the winter, because it's so nice out. We want to be outside and So I'm not really sure when we're gonna do the kitchen. We're obviously not in a huge rush now that we have countertops. It's really just about like painting the cabinets and stuff, but who knows, if we have a week where it just like rains in August, maybe I will like take the time to paint the cabinets, but I'm not really in a huge rush for the kitchen right now, at least. I think it's just like a lot of touch-ups. This wall, like I painted the whole dining room except this wall here, so I have to paint that, hang up photos. We're doing the entryway. We just need to kind of maximize that space a bit more. You guys will see that in a home vlog next week or the week after. Yeah, our spare bedroom, because we're getting a new bed and mattress for our room, we're gonna put our queen in the spare bedroom and kind of shuffle all the rooms around. And what else? Yeah, that's kind of all I can think of right now. My priority really truly is just kind of like making this house feel more homey, getting art up on the walls, kind of prioritizing that. We never had art up on the walls at the condo, and I think that's kind of what was lacking. And now that we have our wedding photos, it's kind of a good opportunity. I guess we're also kind of doing like a mini makeover in our bedroom. We already have all the stuff for it. We've kind of had it for a while. Like I got those curtains when went to IKEA. We have sconces. We've been kind of just waiting to put all the stuff up until we get our new bed. So we'll be doing kind of like a little bit of a mini makeover there as well, but just small kind of budget friendly things. And like I said, we do a lot on a whim too. So I kind of never know what our next project is going to be, which is why we always put money aside for it. And I think that's kind of, I don't know, kind of fun. But it's been a while. How was the transition to 2 dogs? Any regrets or changes you'd make? Okay, I feel like our situation is a little bit different than if you were to just jump into having 2 dogs, because we always knew we wanted to foster and then foster fail or adopt one of our fosters. So for us with Delilah, like we knew if it wasn't a good fit or we weren't ready for it, we did not have to commit to a second dog. And so I think that's a little bit different than taking the approach of like, okay, we're ready to have a second dog, let's go buy a puppy. And so for us, it just felt like there was never really any pressure on adopting or anything like that. Transition to 2 dogs, for me at least, was so easy. And that's just because Stella's obviously a very high energy dog. She's half Rottweiler, half Lab. And so I noticed a big difference, especially during the workday. Like I can actually get work done for like a few hours at a time. Whereas before, Stella just constantly wanted attention. She was very high energy, even though we did a lot of stimulation, a lot of walking, a lot of playtime. She is definitely the kind of dog that just needed another dog there. For us, at least, the transition to 2 was a lot easier. I feel like Lila herself, the transition was not super easy, but that's just hard because I'm not saying Lila's not an angel. She is in her own way, but Stella is a like sweet baby angel, perfect dog. She was the perfect puppy. She potty trained herself, like was the most well-behaved puppy ever. And obviously Lila is just a little bit different. She is working through a lot of issues, and it's hard too when you don't really know what they went through in a past life. So I think the transition to 2 dogs wasn't hard, but Delilah and her breed and her upbringing was definitely difficult. And I did notice a big difference between like getting a puppy and then rescuing and fostering. Something that's helped me a lot, regardless of if you foster or you get a puppy from, you know, like a puppy place or wherever, is just remembering that your dog is also living life for the first time. And those are kind of the words that we try to live by. And just knowing that like you need to give yourself grace, you need to give your dog grace, because they're living life for the first time too. And I think in instances like Delilah, I have to remember that like this is her first time in like a very loving, affectionate home where our goal is to take care of her and to provide for her. And so that is just something I'm constantly reminding myself of. Okay, I got a lot of questions on the camcorder I used on our Disney trip. It's the Sony Handycam CX405. I will link it down below. School updates. So if you guys are new here, I'm in grad school. I'm getting my graduate certificate. So I didn't want to go the master's route because truthfully, I'm paying for school out of pocket. I didn't want to take out a student loan now that I had like paid off my student loan last few years. Still not quite too sure 100% what the future holds for me in terms of more schooling. So I wanted to play it safe and just go the like grad school route without being a master's, and still kind of get that hands-on graduate level courses and see how I enjoy it. So I don't know what a master's is 2 years. I'm assuming it's what, 20 courses, 5 each semester for 4 semesters. It probably depends on the school. I'm doing 8 courses. So I'm in all graduate level courses. Like all of them are the same courses that you would take if you were doing like your MHA or MBA through the school I'm doing, but I'm just taking kind of like a third of the course load, which has been really nice for me. Anyways, I took a semester off in the spring because honestly, I only have 2 courses left. However, one of them is only offered in the fall and the other course was full when I went to go register. So I saw that as a sign to just take a break and I will go back in the fall and hopefully graduate next year. I'm honestly just not in a rush though, because I am paying for it out of pocket whenever it makes sense financially. I just enjoy learning and applying all of it to my job, but I'm not in a rush. Ooh, someone said 2025 grid predictions. I promise I'll get to the wedding questions soon. I actually wrote everything down. My predictions are Logan leaves and goes to IndyCar, which is like a pretty speculated rumor right now, so I wouldn't be surprised. I want Carlos to sign to Kick Sauber because it will become Audi, but I have a feeling he's gonna sign to Williams, unfortunately. Visa Cash App, I think that Liam is gonna get the seat. I'm not too sure yet if Ricardo's gonna retire or not, but I just don't know where he would go. In terms of Haas, I think that Ollie Behrman will get offered a seat, and I think that K-Mag will stay. Kick Sauber is currently Hulkenberg, and then I think, I know I have Ocon or Zhou Guanyu. I'm not too sure. Yeah, not too sure on that one. It's one or the other. Mercedes, I also have no idea. I think they're gonna end up signing Kimi. However, I do just think he's a little too young, but I understand that they don't want to kind of put themselves in the same situation they did with missing out on Max. So I guess we'll see. I think that Kimi's really the only one I see going there, like not even Carlos. Alpine, I think, will be Gasly and Duhan, and then, well, Aston Martin's obvious because Lance is on a rolling contract. So those are my predictions. Let me know yours down below. I gotta start deleting the questions I've already answered, or else I'm gonna get scatterbrained here. Okay, let's just jump into a lot of the eloping wedding questions because that's what you guys are here for, let's be real. How were the vibes after eloping? Honestly, 100,000 amazing percent. That didn't make any sense, but the vibes were so high. Like, I literally didn't want the day to end because the day was just so amazing. It was perfect. It was so laid back and chill and relaxed, which is exactly what we wanted it to be. And it was just so perfect and so fun. I literally would not change a single thing about it. Can you share more of the process of eloping planning? So for us, one of the big reasons we wanted to elope is because there wasn't much planning involved. I think elopement can be as much or as little planning as you want, right? You could elope in like your hometown or where you live. That doesn't involve planning a trip. For us, it was a little different because we already had the trip planned, so we didn't have to plan the trip. But if you're gonna do a destination elopement, there's obviously that factor of planning a trip too. For us, all we had to do was figure out the date, which was pretty easy because we were already going on the trip on our engagement anniversary. I knew I wanted our like wedding anniversary to be our engagement anniversary. We needed to find a photographer, which one of my good friends, Erica, is a photographer in Orlando, so that was easy. The biggest part of planning was just figuring out the whole marriage license part and kind of scheduling that all out, make sure we had all our documents and stuff, which I did get a lot of questions. How does it work to elope and get married in another country? I think it varies state by state and country by country, but at least with most of the United States, our marriage license like just kind of transfers over here. We don't have to do anything about it. Granted, I haven't tried to use it anywhere yet, so I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I did do a lot of research and I did find that our Florida wedding license is valid here. Did you do your own hair and makeup? No, I knew I wanted to either get my hair or makeup done. I didn't want to get both done, and Brianna loves doing makeup, so I was like, honestly, I'm gonna let her do my makeup, and then I ended up getting my hair like professionally done. I got a wedding hairstylist to come to the hotel and do my hair, and I think that was the right call because with just like the humidity and the heat in Florida, I knew if I did it myself, it probably would not hold up. So I'm really glad I got someone who like knows the Florida heat, knows how to kind of protect the hair from it, and I loved my hair so much. Did Matt see your dress ahead of time? No. How did you travel with your dress? It definitely varies by airline. So I would ask once you go through though, because at the front gate, like where you go to check your bags, they told me that there was like nothing they could do on the flight. I think they just give like a standard reply. However, when we got to the gate and we asked there, they were super helpful and told us that we could ask to put it in the like stewardess or steward closet. So definitely depends on airline, but I would just ask once you get to your gate. They were so kind and they ended up putting my dress, like I said, in the closet in the front for the staff members. And my dress from Lulu's came with like a garment bag, so I just used that. Okay, got this question a lot. Will you change your last name? No. Well, I don't think I'm gonna take Matt's last name. No offense to like Matt or his family, whoever's watching this. I just don't think they flow well. I know that like probably sounds like a silly reason, but I I've talked about this before. I kind of have a bit of a weird relationship with my last name right now because I don't currently have a relationship with my biological father. So part of me really wants to take like my mom or my stepdad's last name. You guys know, Matt and I are not very traditional, so it shouldn't come as a surprise that I probably won't change my name. I also just think too that I've established my business, and you know, I'll have like 2 degrees or 2 like certificates in my current name, my maiden name, and so I don't think I'm gonna change it. However, if we do decide to have one child or a child down the line, I'll probably hyphenate, but for now I'm not changing it. Honestly, I'm just gonna keep living life. I don't think changing your name, like, I know I've worked through a lot of this in like therapy, but rings, changing your name, all that stuff, really at the end of the day doesn't mean anything. And even like a wedding, at the end of the day, like a wedding is great and all, but at the end of the day, it comes down to your relationship with your partner. Ooh, okay, what are some ways you made your elopement special? I love that you made it more than just putting on a dress and going to the courthouse. So for us, it was really about who we were as a couple and things that we loved, and we talked about it ahead of time a lot, so we kind of had some discussions about it. We knew we wanted to have a really slow morning, go grab a coffee downstairs, sit on the patio, and I knew that I wanted all of us to get ready in the room together, like me get my hair and makeup done, Matt get his suit on, and just have a lot of, I said this in the vlog, that there was a lot of laughter and just like happiness. That was really important to us. And then just kind of having a fun day. I think having Brianna and Corey there as our witnesses just made it really, really fun and special. It kind of felt more like a big outing with friends. And then we got like burgers and Diet Coke and stuff after, which was really, really fun. And also just being able to go celebrate at Epcot that night was really fun. I've talked about this before, how we didn't want to have like a Disney wedding. It's just a part of us. It's not who we are as a couple. But getting to incorporate those like Disney elements to it was really fun. And then also because we got married where we got engaged, it was really fun to tie in some of those full circle moments. So like we got margaritas, and if you guys remember the vlog from when we got engaged, we got margaritas like 2 minutes before we got engaged. So we got margaritas after we got married. We took a lot of photos in the same spots. We did our first look in the same spot we got engaged. And yeah, it felt very go with the flow, but also very special and true to us as a couple. How are your wedding blues now? Okay, so now we're about what, 6 weeks out? Honestly, I'm feeling a lot better. I think once I hit the month mark, I felt a lot better. I think it was the combination of like, you know, when you go on a trip, you come back, you have like the post-vacation blues. There was that, and then also like the post-wedding blues. It was just truly such a perfect day. And I can only speak for myself, but for me, my post-wedding blues were actually worse when we announced it, because when we came home from our trip, it was like this fun little secret, and I knew that I still got to go and, you know, edit the vlogs and share it with you guys and almost kind of like relive it all over again, and got our wedding photos back. And so I think that it didn't really hit me honestly until we announced it, because I kind of got to relive it for a second time. And I feel like it hit me the worst after, but I'm doing better now. I feel like there's just a lot to look forward to. I'm just really excited to see kind of like what our first year of marriage has in store for us. I'm really glad that we decided to wait to go on a honeymoon, and I'm really excited for our reception too. So having things to look forward to and spacing it out, I think, is really helpful. Got a few questions that were similar, different wording. How to set boundaries with family with eloping, particularly those who feel entitled? Okay, I have a lot to say. I wrote a lot of lists on this because I think that is one of the biggest things when people look into eloping. They don't do it because they're just scared of what people have to say. And I'm a very, like, your opinion is not going to change my mind person. And I don't want that to come across in a bad way, but like, you can't convince me to have a wedding. You could not convince me. It's not one of those things that I was like on the fence about. Like, I was very firm, like, this is what I want. For me, it was hard to set boundaries and all that, and I'll get into that in a sec, but I knew at the end of the day, like, no matter how much money someone waved in my face, like, I wasn't gonna have a wedding. But here are some of the things that like we just said at multiple points throughout discussing this. Just because you don't agree with our decision does not mean it's up for debate. You also just don't owe anyone your reasons, honestly. I feel like when you start to explain your reasons, that's when the fight back starts to happen with like but this is how it's done traditionally. So for us, for example, it was, I didn't want to be like the center of attention on our wedding day. Oh, so just have a micro wedding. Or I want our vows and our ceremony to be private. Oh, we'll just have a micro wedding, or oh, just do them privately, or oh, just do bland, simple vows in front of everyone, doing private vows later. And there's nothing wrong with all that. I've said this before. I'm not shitting on anyone else having a wedding. It's just not for me. It wasn't for my relationship. And so that is the biggest thing too. I feel like you got to keep it simple and just say like, this is why we don't want a wedding, XYZ, but be prepared for that fight back of like, but this is how it's done traditionally. I also think too, it's really important to discuss with your partner, like who you want to tell ahead of time. We didn't want to tell a lot of people because we didn't want it to sway our enjoyment of the day. And of course, 98% of people are going to be supportive, or at least in our circumstance, but we knew the more people we told, the more opinions we would get. So we just kept it super simple. We said we were eloping in the next 2 years and you would find out after. I think that not telling everyone beforehand is truly the best way to go. Like we really only told our parents and like a few friends. Siblings didn't know, grandparents didn't really even know. The big reason, like I mentioned, is that we just didn't want anyone's opinion or criticism to cloud our day, especially people we knew that would have opinions on it. I wrote this down because this is what my parents had said to me, because my parents did elope like 20 years ago. It's not disrespectful to elope in secret, but it is disrespectful to guilt someone into having their event in a way that pleases you regardless of what they want. But yeah, at the end of the day, weddings are complicated and they tend to bring out the best and the worst of people. So my only advice is to really just commit to what you want, but prepare for people to have opinions about it. How did you tell your family you were eloping? My biggest fear is them being mad at me. So once again, kind of in good practice with boundaries. I feel like this goes with the last question too. They kind of all like Venn diagram. Like I said, I didn't care enough to not do it. We knew before we really got engaged, we talked about it, that we didn't want to have a traditional wedding. And so from the second we got engaged, and you know, people are going to say, oh, how's the wedding planning going? Oh, what are you thinking about a wedding? We just like laid it out flat for them and said, look, we probably won't be having a traditional wedding. We are going to be eloping. We're not really telling anyone when, but this is kind of our plan. Please respect our wishes, kind of. And I think there's pros and cons to telling people in advance, but we wanted to make sure like from the get-go, no one had the expectation that we were having a wedding and would be disappointed. I will say Reddit has a ton of great tips too for just like how to tell people you're eloping, what to do. I love Reddit for advice for stuff like that. This is also what we told people. Choosing to spend this private moment as a new couple does not reflect how much we love you as our family. We're really excited to celebrate with you guys at the reception. And for me, like, it was just that my vows, my ceremony, just, it didn't feel like a spectator sport. I really wanted them to truly be private and for us, because at the end of the day, we're vowing our life together. Honestly, I really wish society hadn't placed such a big emphasis on traditional weddings. I think they can be beautiful. Like, if that is truly what you want as a couple, I love that for you. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I just wish there wasn't this expectation that when you got engaged, the expectation is that you have a quote-unquote normal wedding. No, I think with elopements becoming more and more popular, there'll be a bit of a shift in the next generation. Just a reminder, you're giving people a heads up as a courtesy. You're not asking for their permission. Okay, got this one a lot too. Why did your friends come as witnesses and not your parents? I think weddings and eloping and your vows and everything like that is super personal, and what works for one person may not work for another, and that's okay. I know a lot of people I've chatted with over DMs that have had their parents come to their elopement, and that's totally fine, but it was just something we knew we didn't want to do. It was just a very personal choice for us. Obviously, you need witnesses to elope, and we just preferred having 2 close friends with us there, because once you invite one set of parents, you have to invite the other set of parents and grandparents and siblings. And I've always honestly just felt weird about my parents being there. My relationship with Matt, I mean, you guys see maybe in a weekly vlog like 1 or 2 moments of our relationship, but even with our families, like I've been to a lot of therapy for how my past traumas have affected my relationships and how I can be a better partner, and I keep my relationship very private. One of the biggest things I learned in therapy is you don't talk shit about your partner to anybody unless it's like a very concerning thing. But if you get into an argument with your partner, you don't go and broadcast that to your family or your friends, really. Like, you can go ask for advice, but you know, if we get into an argument that's resolved quickly, I'm not going to go talk about it with my mom. We've just always kept our relationship really, really private. And it just honestly felt weird to me to have like my parents and his parents watch over us as we vow our lives to each other. It just felt very intimate and personal to me. And my parents eloped, the 2 of them, so they completely understood us doing it. And I love my parents. I'm so close with my parents, but I didn't want to worry about the dynamic of our wedding day shifting, and we both agreed it would have. Like, we love our parents, but you can't not say that your dynamic of your wedding day wouldn't change if your parents were there. I didn't want to be responsible or worry about, you know, what other people thought on a day where it was really just about us and our love. And I didn't want to spend my wedding day just like managing other people and their expectations. So I also think it helped too that we're having a wedding reception later this summer, but hopefully that makes sense. Will you do a cost breakdown if you feel comfortable? Yes, I've already done an elopement one, and I will probably do a reception one as well if you guys want to see that. But to be transparent, we did have family that wanted to like help us financially with that, so we aren't paying for our reception out of pocket, but I can definitely share with you guys the cost breakdown. We're hoping to use most of the money that we got for our honeymoon, but we will be using some of it for our reception. But we got some really great prices on things, so I'm really excited to do a cost breakdown for you guys afterwards. Are you gonna wear your wedding dress to your reception? Is that a thing? So I am. We're doing something a little bit different. So we are, and this is why our reception will cost us a little bit more than it probably should. We are getting a photographer, the whole thing all over again. And that's just because it was really important for me to get family photos. I really wanted nice photos with my parents. And I knew if there was anything that I missed on our wedding day for photos, I could get it during our reception. So whether that be, I really wanted to get some portraits of Matt and I, and then some portraits of myself as well. And then of course, just family photos. So I'm gonna rewear my wedding dress for our family photos, but then I'm gonna change into a short dress for our reception. I got a few questions asking the mood board and the vibe for our reception. So I'll put just like a mood board up on the screen for you guys. Our dress code is garden party, which is so fun. So like florals and bright colors, which I think is just, I don't know, I think it's gonna be so fun. A lot of colors, gingham, garden party, florals, blue, antique, thrifted, just kind of me, you know? Will you be sharing any wedding planning for your reception? I can if you guys want, maybe just in the vlogs. I don't think I would do like a dedicated series or like videos on it, but I definitely can share it in the vlogs. And I think I'm gonna do a wedding week like round 2 video, just because I think if you're planning a more traditional wedding, this wedding week for our reception will look probably the most similar to a traditional wedding. And I think there'll be a lot more work involved in this one in terms of like setting things up, all that jazz. So I do think I'm gonna do like a wedding week part 2, round 2 video when we have our reception in August. How are the NYX bras holding up? I'm thinking of purchasing. I love them so much. The quality is great. Highly recommend. They are so comfy. I think I'm wearing one right now. Honestly amazing, worth the money so much. They're absolutely incredible. Any tattoos soon? Yes, I do have a few more that I want to get done. I have a Zach Bryan one that I want, but I'll get that in December when we go to see him in New York City. I just kind of think that would be fun to get it there when we go see him. I really want to get a Diet Coke tattoo with my dad because we're like really both into Diet Coke, and I think that would be really fun. I think for my birthday, I want to get a few tattoos. I considered, I don't know. I really want to get a National Treasure tattoo. You guys know it's my favorite movie ever. And I really wanted to get 47 or page 47 on me because it's obviously a big scene in the book. However, I recently found out what was on page 47. And I guess it's that like Illuminati is gonna like take over the world and maintain it. So I don't really know like if I want to get that, but also like it's more the reference to the movie. I also considered getting The Secret Lies with Charlotte, so I might do that as well. And then maybe just a few little ones. I don't know. I really want to get finger tattoos. I know they fade, but I kind of like that. So yeah, those are some of the upcoming tattoos that I want. I will definitely be getting hopefully a few more this year. What is your exercise routine, your physique is goals? I don't really have like a super rigid exercise routine. I feel like the dogs keep me really active. I probably average about 10 to 12,000 steps a day just walking the dogs alone, which is plenty of daily movement for me. And then I try to go to the gym maybe like twice a week, honestly, or 3 times a week, but I really just like to be active. I usually go for a run with Matt once a week, and then I do like an upper body and a lower body day. And yeah, that's kind of all I do. I don't put any pressure on myself. If I don't feel like going to the gym, I will just go on a really long walk or a big run. But I have found like what works for me. I'd love to get back into like spin and Pilates and stuff, but obviously living in the middle of nowhere, it's not really, unfortunately, an option. So yeah, that's kind of my exercise routine. Okay, hopefully the angle didn't change too much. I've just been yapping over here. I had to delete some footage from my SD card. Do you have any birth control updates? So things are going well. If you guys are new here, I had an IUD. I had a COVID IUD, and like I got it during the pandemic, March 2020. I took it out in January of 2023. And then it took me about 5 or 6 months to find a pill that worked for me and my mental health. And at that time, I also thought it'd be a good idea to start tretinoin. So my skin was like purging from all the hormone changes, and then also tretinoin, and it was not a good time mentally. A pill now that works for me. You guys all know how I feel about birth control. I don't think it should be demonized. If you don't want to be on it, don't be on it. But if you want to be on it, that's totally fine. Do your research. Can't really say when I'm gonna get off of it. I'm not at a point where I want children. I don't know if I want children. I can talk about this in an upcoming question that you guys asked a ton, obviously. But even if we were to have a child, I don't think it would be naturally. So I'm not too sure what I'm gonna do moving forward. If I will stay on the pill, if I'll get off the pill, and I don't know, maybe get my tubes tied. Like I don't really know, and I don't need to know right now. But as of right now, my birth control, love her, honestly. You know, we'll reassess like maybe in a year or so, or when I turn 30. And then the question everyone is asking, even people in my personal life, which I just think is so like not cool, but we won't get into that. When are you having kids now that you're married? One, getting married doesn't automatically mean that you want children or children anytime soon. I've talked about it before on here, so I'm kind of comfortable sharing bits and pieces of it, but I probably just won't answer it going forward, honestly. I'll just set that boundary with myself because I don't know. Matt and I don't know. I can for sure tell you I don't want kids at least for the next 2-3 years, and I'm not in a situation where like, oh, I'd be okay if an accident happened. Like I'm not there yet. I'm not ready, and it's something I'm trying to work through because I just feel like everyone around me is having kids younger than me, older than me. And I just feel like the odd one out because I just don't want kids right now. I don't know if I do want kids. I have talked this through at length with Matt, who's also just not sure yet. We're both very much on the same page about it. If we do decide to have a kid, I would love to go the adoption route. I don't know if mentally I could handle pregnancy. If I'm just being honest, I don't think anyone talks about that or that being a reason why. I just think my mental health would not be great, and I don't, like I said, I don't hear anyone talk about this. I obviously have a emetophobia, which I'm not saying that you can't have kids if you have a emetophobia, but, and you know, there's risks of miscarriage and stuff that kind of runs in the family, and I'm just not sure mentally I could do it. So like I said, I would love to look into adopting, but for now we're just chilling. There's a lot that we want to achieve in our lives first, and like I said, I'm not in a position where I'm like ready to be off the pill, and if something happens, like a little oopsie happens, it's fine. Like I'm not ready at all in the slightest. So yeah, I just don't like talking about it a lot because I know there's a lot of people who like want to have children and, you know, like have to go through like IVF and all this stuff, and I feel guilt. I feel a lot of guilt for not wanting a child, or if I end up getting pregnant, like I don't know what I would do. And so I just try to not talk about it, honestly, because I don't want to be insensitive to anyone. But that's where I am. I also do feel like I want to share it because I don't hear anyone talk about it online really, about like not being sure if they want to have kids. And I think I do. Like I love being around my nephew and stuff like that, but I'm just not ready right now. So that's how I feel about children. Okay, what are your summer plans? Not just big stuff, but the cozy, wholesome plans too. Honestly, not a ton. You spent 2022 renovating our home. I had COVID. That's when my long COVID starts. That kind of felt like a write-off. Last year, we were house hunting pretty much the whole summer. So this year, I just want to plop my ass in the backyard and enjoy every second of being here. We live near the St. Lawrence now, so we can have a lot of beach days, spend time outside, and that's kind of the plan. We do obviously have some like fun friend plans and travel. So next weekend I'm in Toronto for kind of like a joint work trip, and then also spending time with Matt's mom and my sister-in-laws for a day. I'm gonna see Mo when I'm in Toronto next week. The weekend after, I'm actually going to Brianna's bridal shower, so I'm gonna road trip to see her. Then in August, they're coming to stay with us for our reception. And I'm just really excited to like sit at home, relax, maybe do some home projects here and there, but I want to read. I want to spend time with my dogs and my little family, do some fun day trips with Matt. I'm going to film like a summer reset, I think, instead of my monthly reset for July. Just like switch it up a little bit. I found out today, Matt and I are going to go see Noah Khan at Osheaga, which is so exciting. And I'm excited. I'm a little nervous. You guys know I have PTSD, which I always get asked like about my PTSD diagnosis. And I was diagnosed in 2017 when I was at the airport in a bomb scare situation. So that's why I don't do well with crowds. And you guys know I went to my first indoor concert since last year, and we did Noah Khan this year. It went well, and so I'm gonna try Osheaga. I've done Blues Fest here, which is like Ottawa's music festival. It's not huge. I mean, it's big, but I would stand at like the back. So yeah, I'm really excited. I don't know how like in the crowd will be, but I'm kind of ready to take that next step and face my fears a little bit more. So that'll be super fun, and just some fun day trips. I want to go to like Westport, Gananoque, Almont, maybe do another thrift day back in like the Smith Falls area, and spend a lot of time in my parents' backyard. You guys know we did that a lot last summer and the summer before. And yeah, those are kind of the summer plans. Okay, I feel like that was most of the questions you guys asked. A lot of them were just repeat questions about like our elopement and wedding. But if there's anything I didn't answer, let me know down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this chatty little catch up, whether you had a glass of wine with me, a Diet Coke, a tea, a kombucha, whatever floats your boat. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.